Hi guys, welcome back to Airam's Vegan Vlog. I'm veganizing Thanksgiving dinner. I personally never cooked traditional Thanksgiving dinner prior to becoming vegan. So I've been veganizing my own Thanksgiving for 3 years now. I made my signature sausage stuffing, some mashed potatoes and gravy. I use a gravy that came with the Gardein holiday roast. I'm using that in place of turkey. It is essentially a turkey stuffed roast. It's super delicious and my favorite one out there. I'm also gonna be making my homemade mac and cheese with some roasted vegetables, served with a dinner roll and some store-bought cranberry sauce. But I promise you, it is an insane meal. It's so good. And yeah, the vegan version not only is faster, it tastes better, it's amazing, and no turkeys were harmed, and it's cruelty free. And I hope you guys really do enjoy these recipes. It is so good. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye. Alright guys, so to start with this dinner, I'm gonna be using this Gardein holiday roast that is stuffed with some cranberries and some wild rice. This is my favorite vegan holiday roast that I've come across, so I definitely recommend it. So I was gonna be cooking this according to the directions, but it did say to use aluminum foil covered, but I don't have any, so I'm gonna be cooking this simply by putting it on parchment paper and for an hour and 15 to 20 minutes. It does come with gravy, as you guys saw right there, so yeah, there you go. So I'm taking it out of its plastic wrapping, putting it on parchment paper for 1 hour and 20 minutes on 350 degrees. And while that is cooking in the oven, I'm gonna take 4 freshly washed russet potatoes and place them into a pot filled with water so that they could be cooking in the meantime before we need to make the mashed potatoes. So to start off with the stuffing, I'm gonna be using Beyond Meat Beyond Sausage, which is plant-based sausage, the hot Italian flavor. I like this flavor more because it is simply more flavorful. That's literally the only reason why. You can use the original. So you're gonna want to crumble the sausages as small as you can get them. Okay, so now that the sausage is all crumbled, I'm gonna start off by adding all the veggies and the herbs, starting with 1 cup of diced white onion. And just mix that all around to get all those flavors going. Now for some fresh garlic cloves. I promise you this will definitely elevate the stuffing. Fresh is always better. Now mix all that garlic in. And the next veggie I will be adding is some diced celery, 1 full cup of that. Cooking this stuffing on medium heat, stirring occasionally, keeping an eye on it. And next up, the seasonings, starting off with some pink salt, also adding in some sage. Now for the fresh herbs, I'm gonna add in some fresh thyme alongside some fresh rosemary. Added 1 teaspoon of each, but you can definitely add more depending on how herby you want it. Now for some pepper, 1/2 tablespoon of that. And I know this probably got old by now, but keep on mixing until the sausage is brown and all the veggies are translucent and cooked. So next up, the bread. I decided to use a store-bought stuffing. I found that way it was easier, but you can definitely just make your own. So the stuffing that I added in, I'm just gonna be mixing it around so that way everything gets distributed evenly. Then for some moisture, I'm adding this no chicken broth that just so happens to be vegan. An alternative to this specific no chicken broth, you can simply use vegetable broth that you can find at your local store. I'm adding 2 full cups of this for some moisture. Now mix that all around, make sure every last bit gets covered in that delicious broth. Now as a binder, I will be adding 3 flax eggs that you make by mixing 1 tablespoon of flaxseed with 3 tablespoons of water, letting it sit for 5 minutes, And that's how you make a vegan egg, because we're vegan in this house. So that is my binder today. Mix that all around. So you guessed it, the stuffing is ready. So now for some vegan butter, I'm using my Yokos to butter my pan today. You can definitely use any other vegan butter that you have accessible to you. So pour all that delicious stuffing onto that pan. Okay, so now it's time to place into the oven for 35 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, so I know it's Thanksgiving, but you gotta have at least some veggies on your plate. I chose Brussels sprouts. Those are one of my favorite type of veggies. I'm only making a little bit. I'm mainly doing this for the video. So I'm gonna start off by adding 1/4 teaspoon of olive oil, some black pepper to taste, and 1/4 teaspoon of garlic salt. And that is simply how I make my Brussels sprouts. I like to massage all the oil into it and then setting it onto a pan with some parchment paper, so that way it browns and doesn't stick like crazy. I also chose to do some rainbow carrots. I peeled some of these organic rainbow carrots. So I'm placing the veggies onto the oven, but halfway through, I'm gonna be coating those carrots in the marinade I will be making for them. Starting off with 1 tablespoon of vegan honey, 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, and mix that around evenly. And now for some seasonings, the OGs, some black pepper, 1/4 of a teaspoon, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic salt. So now that it's all mixed, give it a little taste test, and if it tastes delicious, then it is ready. Halfway through the vegetable cooking, brush on that delicious marinade. Place it back into the oven to finish cooking. Okay, so now we can begin with the mac and cheese. It is going to be cashew based today. I'm going to start off by making a cashew cream using 1 cup of cashews that I soaked overnight, 1/3 of a cup of unsweetened cashew milk. Make sure whatever milk you use is unsweetened. 1/3 of a cup of nutritional yeast, also known as Nooch, and blend for 1.5 minutes until smooth. Like that. There you have it, cashew cream. Now back to that Mayokos butter. I'm going to be using some of this butter to coat the pan. We're not trying to be healthy today. It's Thanksgiving. Come on, we need some of that butter. So now you can pour in all that cashew cream. So this is pretty much acting as a roux, except without the roux. I like to make a roux sometimes because that's traditional, but I personally prefer how cashew cream tastes over a roux base, if that makes sense. Anyway, so for some color to that mac and cheese, I'm gonna start off by adding some turmeric, 1 teaspoon of that, some black pepper to taste because some people like things to be more peppery than others, 1/2 tablespoon of some paprika, also 1/2 tablespoon of some pink salt or garlic salt. At this point my stuffing was done, so I took a little pause to take it out of the oven. Now please make sure you're mixing that sauce because it does start to clump up if you're not keeping an eye on it. Add some cashew milk as needed. I added 1/4 of a cup to thin it out a little bit. So now for some real cheesiness, I'm adding some vegan cheddar. I'm using these Violife cheddar shreds. You can definitely add the whole entire bag if you want, but I'm gonna start off by adding 1 cup of it. And remember, keep on mixing because the cashews do start to clump up. Now to cut the sweetness, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. This step is optional, but cashews do tend to be a little sweet. So make sure to keep mixing and add some water as needed. As you can see right there, I added a splash of water and it really helped it kind of thin out a little bit. And at this point decided maybe I should add a little bit more cheese, so I added just a little sprinkle of it because I'm planning to use the cheese as a topping instead. Now give it a little taste test. If it needs anything, make sure to add it at this point. So now that the vegan cheese is added and all mixed in, I'm going to be adding 1 pack of elbow pasta. Please make sure to mix that around thoroughly. How many times do I have to say that? Now moving on to actually baking this. I buttered a pan again, like we need more butter. But yeah, I buttered a pan and placed the elbow pasta in there and topped it with that vegan cheese I was telling you about. I used the remaining of the package because why not? It's Thanksgiving, let's go all out. Okay, so now the mashed potatoes, super easy. I'm using some vegan butter, as you guessed it. So some of the Mayuko's butter I did not measure, I just kept adding some as needed. So that's what I recommend you do too. I do not have a potato masher, so I used this little muffin tin and mashed it like that. And there you go, it's all mashed. Adding half a tablespoon of garlic salt, half a tablespoon of black pepper. You can add more seasonings to this, maybe some of those fresh herbs, but I chose to keep it simple and classic. Oh, and some garlic powder. Totally forgot I added that. Yeah, some garlic powder as well to make them super garlicky. Also add some vegan milk if you feel like they're too dry, but I like them like this and they were really delicious. Placing these onto a pan that I made this cute little spoon design with. It is not necessary, but it looks cute, so there you have it. They look like little waves. I'm placing this into the oven. So after making all of that, I was not about to make some dinner rolls, so I'm using these Kroger brand rolls that are suitable for vegans, which is pretty awesome. They were like $2 at Ralph's. Cooking this following the directions on the back. So now everything is ready. It is time to plate. I'm plating some mac and cheese first because that is my favorite, honestly, so I'm serving myself a good amount. Some of those creamy mashed potatoes, some sausage stuffing that honestly became the star of this entire dinner. So delicious. I'm also using some gravy, the gravy that came with the turkey roast. I was so tired I decided to not make my own, but I can definitely link down a recipe if you guys want a homemade one. But I used the one it came with, white wasted. I made a little well and put in that gravy. Ooh, so now onto that turkey roast. It is freshly out of the oven. I'm slicing it and look at how amazing this looks. It is pretty cool that it also comes with stuffing. The stuffing tastes completely different than mine. It is really good. So I'm placing 2 chunky pieces of that turkey because why not? And also some of those veggies, you gotta have those veggies. I'm serving up some of those carrots, some Brussels sprouts, and a dinner roll, all warm and ready. And there you have it. Oh wait, the cranberry sauce. I know it is store-bought, but it tastes amazing. I used this one last year. It is so good, the Trader Joe's brand. So delicious. Okay, now there you have it. Look at all that food. And that is the final look of this delicious plate. Look at that, so good. A cruelty-free, plant-based, and vegan AF Thanksgiving. It's so easy. I definitely recommend it. Some great options to make for your vegan friends, your non-vegan friends, your vegetarian friends. I promise they will love every second of it. It is so delicious. I have made Thanksgiving vegan food 3 years in a row now, and for my non-vegan family, and they always love it. So I hope your family does as well, or I hope you do as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and happy holidays.